Hello, everyone. I think sorry, I think I started a little bit too early. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for this webinar, which is hosted by FIABCI-Greece and supported by the region of West Greece. My name is Konstantinos Kopanitsanos. I am the FIABCI-Greece president, and I'm a second-generation real estate broker. Our firm goes back to 1961. We have a very good in-house team and a great network of professional colleagues all around the country. So we deal with all types of real estate, basically in every corner of Greece. Now, the topic, as you know, is the influences of the pandemic on the economy, with a focus on the real estate market. The choice of the topic came easy since everyone has been affected by this pandemic. The circumstances have been devastating. In most parts of the world, people were obligated to be confined in their homes for long periods of time. We are still obligated to be wearing masks and to socially distance ourselves so the spread of the virus is reduced. So all this has an effect on real estate, and in a very basic way, we can understand this since people are using the internet. For example, this webinar obviously could have been done live. But we chose this method because this is the safest for now, since not everyone has been vaccinated. So people are now using the internet to also buy products. Therefore, they are not visiting retail stores as they did. They are buying them through e-shopping. And therefore, the demand for retail stores is reduced, and therefore the prices of this type of investment is reducing, is being pushed down. Now, on the other hand, we have the warehousing. Warehousing is strong in demand because basically with e-shopping, big warehouse is all you need, and therefore, well, the major thing you need, and therefore there is a strong demand in warehousing. Now, with residential, people have changed their preferences. Well, those who can, they prefer the secluded homes, the independent homes, as opposed to living in a large complex where everyone uses the same elevator in order to distance themselves as much as they can. So there is a change in demand in the residential area as well. With office spaces, again, we are seeing differences because people are working from home. So there is a demand for smaller offices. So these things are at this point roughly as described, but we will see how they will develop. Again, and also with hospitality, people that can prefer the independent homes to rent for their holidays, as opposed to living in a large hotel complex. So there's a difference in every section. So this is my introduction. I just wanted to make it short and simple, just to connect the two words, pandemic and real estate. I would like very quickly to start presenting our distinguished speakers. And please remember, if you have any questions, please send them using the chat system and the question and answer system, I'm sorry, and we'll try to respond and answer them at the end of all speeches. Now, the first speaker is Mr. Eric Van Hood. The positive thing about this webinar is that it will tackle this subject, and every speaker will be looking at this, analyzing it from the region that they are most familiar with. Now, our first speaker, Mr. Eric Van Heerd, is the president of the FIABCI Americas. He's the president of FIABCI Americas Regional Committee and FIABCI Panama president as well. He's a highly qualified professional, has his business, his real estate company in Panama. He has a master's degree in finance. He's more than 20 years in the real estate and construction market, and he specializes on portfolio management. He is the former president of the Panamanian Real Estate and Developers Association. He was awarded the International Realtor of the Year 2018 by NAR, the National Association of Realtors, the American National Association of Realtors. So with no further delay, let us please welcome Mr. Eric Van Heerd. Eric, please commence your presentation when ready. I'll be switching off my microphone and camera so you have the full attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Constantino. Actually, it's a pleasure to be with you. Give me 1 second. I just realized that I have I'm sorry for this. I have a background that I have to take out. Give me 1 second. Sorry for this. Okay, I'm ready now. Okay. Well, actually, it's an honor to be here with all of you today, representing the Americas region. As you know, the Americas actually go from Canada, the entire United States, and all Latin America. When we talk about the region, actually, as you can understand, it is quite big, and we have to go. Let's go like per group. Let's talk about Canada first. And as you mentioned on your presentation or the introduction, actually, it's something that is affecting the entire world. You know, now with this pandemic, we have been receiving like different changes on our lifestyle and the demand on the real estate sector. When we talk about Canada, we have to mention, as we know, that Vancouver and Toronto are the real estate leading cities, and they are the ones that are more attractive for investors and development prospects. But definitely the other regions as well have their own opportunities and challenges as well. Something that is happening in Canada is that the warehousing and compliance category top the list of both real estate and development and investment prospects this year. That means that people are looking for logistics. People are looking for what are the real demand now that people are staying. Basically, they have been working from home. What is more demanding is the warehousing based on the e-commerce that we know that is an important factor, and not only for Canada, for the whole region, actually for the whole world. So that's something that is very important for Canada. And then we have to consider that the pandemic has disrupted traditional movement patterns for migration within the country. That means that, as we know, Canada is very attractive for investors all around the world, and they have been trying to restructure and keep competitive and be attractive. And nowadays, the real estate sector, the home and commercial are very attractive as well, but definitely e-commerce is the one that is on top of the list when we talk about Canada. When we talk about the United States, as you know, it's very similar, the impact of the e-commerce. When we talk about commercial and stores, there's a lot of stores that have been closing, and they prefer to work more from through the internet. And we have to consider or take in consideration that people are trying. It's the same, very similar that you mentioned in Greece. If people are trying to, when we talk about residential, people are trying to change or get a better lifestyle, and they prefer to live in houses on the outsides, on suburbs, and they, when we talk about in the United States, there's a growth that is expected to slow to 4.4% for 2022. And at the same time, when we talk about other areas like Orlando or Miami, people have been considering and working with Orlando as a place to invest. Why? Because there is a high demand and people are looking for properties that they can guarantee a return on their investment. And that's why, according to Realtor.com, prices are expected to rise around 5.8% this year when we talk about residential. Okay, and that's very important. At the same time, people from, when we talk about who are investing in the United States, an important percentage are people from Latin America. That's what I mentioned, is that they are looking for something that they can get a return, that they can actually, based on the political situation of other countries, they prefer to invest in a country that have stability, that have a good democracy, and they feel that the United States is a great alternative. When we talk about Central America and South America, we have to mention that what is leading right now is the medical offices in Latin America as a potential industry. Right now, there's a lot of alternative for people in Latin America that wants to invest on the area. What I mean is that when we talk about big countries like Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, they do have a wide variety of alternative for investors that will love to invest in Latin America based on the weather, on the geographical position, and they are looking for something that even can give them a good return on investment. I believe that as we have been seeing on different Zooms and different presentations through the year, each country have all their benefits and characteristics that make them very unique, that make them attractive for investors through the world. And what we have been seeing lately is that the same thing happens with the logistics sector. People are focused on e-commerce. People are focused on places that they can invest, that they know that they have a good foreign investors percentage on the economy, and they are more interested on investing in a country that have stability, that have a possible good return on investment, and that they feel that their investment is going to be safe as well. So I think that there are different things through the region, not only in Canada, well, in general, Canada, United States, and Latin America, that make the different countries unique. But what is happening lately, something that we feel in general that is going through all the countries, and is basically that e-commerce is something that we have to take in consideration. Is our new normality. People are working more time from home. Besides that, we are starting to go back to the offices, etc. People are really investing on countries that they feel that it's going to be attractive for them, that they're going to have security. So I believe that the whole region have their own characteristics and benefits. But in general, I believe that in order to get the best investment alternative, you have to contact your realtor, your real estate agent on each country, so they can show you or to investors the different alternative and a nice portfolio that they can analyze and see what have been the behavior of the sector and the return through the years.
Eric, we have to try to wrap it up so we have enough time for the rest of the speakers. Thank you. Everything you have been saying is very interesting, but we have only 60 minutes to get everything.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. Would you like to finish off with a comment, or Is that okay?
Well, I'm fine, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Eric. That was a wonderful presentation, and it's great to know what's happening in the Americas. It's very similar, I guess, to what we are experiencing in other parts of the world, but let's see if this is the case. Our next speaker is Mrs. Lily Chang, who is the president of the World Council of Developers and Investors, and she is the president of FIABCI Taiwan. Mrs. Lily Chang has a very long biography here, has accomplished many things. She's a very powerful developer in Taiwan, and she's president in three countries, in three, excuse me, companies, has been granted honorary citizen medal of Taichung City, has also a very large background in different fields like the arts and publications. So she has a very wide experience, and she's very much, from what I saw from her biography, a people's person, making sure that the construction workers and everybody who worked with her are happy. And through the FIABCI platform, she's trying to design houses affordable for most people. Thank you, Lily Chang. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Tina. I think I give you a lot of information, so you'll use a lot of time to introduce myself. I really my pleasure, my honor to be here to share, this topic. Okay, the topic I'm going to share the impact of COVID-19 epidemic on real estate industry. Earlier this month, I was honored to be invited by President Sopon from FIABCI Thailand, as 32 years developers, to speak about my best practice in the post-COVID-19 era. Like I say, during that webinar, I actually do not have a secret, but to give only the best quality and the best customer service. The result was clear. I never have to spend extra money on advertisement, because I'm always saying brand power is equal marketing power. In September this month, my latest project, Love Gen D, totally to 232 million US dollars, was completely sold out in only 3 days. So today, I'm very happy to talk about a little bit about the impact of COVID-19 epidemic on real estate industry here in Taiwan and in Asia. Please understand that I'm not the expert on this topic, but I will still try to give you a basic pictures. To start with according to the forecast from CBRE, the GDP in China, the United States, and the whole Asia Pacific region are all expected to return to pre-pandemic levels. As you can see from this page, all major economics in the Asia Pacific region have decreased their interest rate. In the case of Taiwan, many Taiwanese business that used to operate in China have decided to relocate back to Taiwan due to the US-China trade war. And thanks to the low interest rate, this business owner quickly rebuilt their business in Taiwan and create many new job opportunities. The office rental demands have improved in the first half of 2021 this year from last year's low. Because of the strong performance of North Asia, the APEC regions, Grade A office absorption in the first 6 months of this year increased by about 20% year on year. The forecast for 4 years rental demand has been revised up from a year-over-year growth of 5% to 10 to 15%. After countries took measures to control a new wave of COVID-19 in Q2 2021, rents have fallen strongly. And most of the APEC markets have revised down their 4 years rental growth forecast for retail real estate. The retail rents in many cities, including Tokyo, Taipei, and Australia, have performed poorly. But Hong Kong, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen has performed better. The increasing e-commerce and the talent's attention to the market rebound has ensured that the APEC logistics market is optimistic in the first half of 2021. During this period, the third-party logistics and the e-commerce platform expanding strongly. And net absorption in Asia reached 35.6 million square feet, the highest numbers in the first half of the year on records. A quick review of the numbers of housing transactions in major cities in Taiwan show that demand for housing grew in all 6 major metropolitan areas in Taiwan, especially Thailand, due to the establishment of a new TSMC facility nearby, have a 21.3% year-over-year growth. Of course, our lifestyle would change in the post-pandemic world. How can we work better from home? Are there enough epidemic prevention measures in your buildings? It is also necessary for us to re-examine all our public facilities and architectural design and see if they are ready for the post-pandemic life. Thank you so much. That's it.
Thank you, Lily, very much for a very interesting presentation. Very powerful. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I try to control the time. Thank you.
I know, and it was an honor to have you here today. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mr. Walid Musa, who is the president of the FIABCI Arabic countries. Mr. Musa was the world president of the International Federation for the years 2019 and 2020. He was recently appointed president of the Real Estate Working Committee of the Association of Chambers of Commerce and Industry for the Mediterranean. He has a law degree, but transitioned to real estate very early in his career. And he's chairman of several companies under a main holding, the PIM Group. I'd like to welcome Mr. Walid Musa. Thank you for being here, Walid. It's a great honor. The microphone is yours. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Greece. It's not very easy to speak after 2 great speakers on the 3rd position, but I'll do my best. I would like to thank the FIABCI-Greece for inviting me to be one of the guest speakers in their panel. My special regard to the president of the chapter, Mr. Konstantinos Kopani-Testanos. There's no doubt that the COVID-19 have a tremendous impact on our global economy and on the real estate sector specifically. This pandemic have changed the way we live, and we will continue to feel the impact on our daily life, like at work, necessity of housing, tourism. The world have taken the decision to confront this pandemic and to adapt to this new reality, taking in consideration for sure the safety measure and imposing in different ways the vaccines around the world. What's happening in the real estate sector around the world globally? The speed of recovery varies from a country to another, but all regional report shows that the difficulties, the problems, and the preferences of the real estate sector are considerably similar in whole the world. In order to understand the status of the real estate sector, we need to discuss sector by sector. If we start by the retail, the sector has suffered as expected, and we have seen a lot of retailers in bankruptcy and shop closing, as Eric said, and especially everything related to luxury and commercial centers. Nevertheless, the consumption of basic products got higher, and we've seen a development in the business related to food and medicine. We've seen a comeback in Asia and in the GCC countries and the retail consumption in a way called revenge spending, which means that the consumer are spending a lot more than before because of the psychological effect that they had when they used to be sitting at home and not being able to buy what they wanted. So when they go now to shops or to luxury shops or to commercial centers, they're spending a lot more, and we're calling it revenge spending. And it seems that the commercial centers and the mall will be back to normality on the second semester of 2022. The phenomenal growth of the pandemic was the online business, as our colleague said. We suddenly discovered that we can purchase everything online. And if we just see some numbers from the total purchasing, the commercial purchasing, the online business figures as are follow: 35%, 34% of the sales are online in Korea, 24 in England, 20 in the USA. And it's growing. The e-commerce is living a golden time, and it's interesting to notice that Amazon have created more than 200,000 new jobs by the end of 2020. The higher demand on the online business, the higher demand is on the warehousing and on the logistics. Logistics, the second category or sector is the logistics. There's a need of warehousing and logistics in the suburbs, near the airport, in the cities, everywhere. A lot of funds were created around the world in order to invest in that business. The image is still not clear concerning the future of the cap rates in this business, because there will be a high demand, the high supply, and there will be a lot of competition. But we'll have to wait and see. Hotels and short-term rentals for apartment, touristic apartment, this sector have suffered a lot as well as the retail. Till today, in many countries, events are not allowed more than 100%, but it's obvious that it will change. That surely will change by mid 2022. The internal tourism have seen an important growth in most of the countries, and not only in the countries, but in continents where people can travel in the cars. And that's what people were doing, going from France to Spain, from Spain to Portugal. So people wanted to have their own way of traveling and not using the plane. But that was positively because people got to know their countries and their areas. The demand on hotel and short-term rentals is coming back, and a lot of countries were surprised of the demand and the tourists. Like in Europe, a lot of countries in Europe that have opened up, like Spain, were surprised by the number of tourists. We're seeing a comeback, and I think by mid of 2022, things will get back to normality. Companies, just an example like Airbnb, have lost in 6 weeks, the first 6 weeks of the pandemic, more than 25% of their employees, and they had 50% less turnover comparing in 2020 comparing to 2019. So the fourth category, offices. There's no doubt that the way of working have changed, and the need to have a physical office is different now, depending on the activity and the job that we are doing. So many companies changed their model of operating, reducing the rental cost, and the need of space is different now. The prices of square meter around the world is now like 25% less on average, lower than before the pandemic. The demand on high-end offices is still holding, and the prices have not decreased more than 10%. The co-working spaces have been affected for sure, and it seems that a lot of operators are imposing now health measures and trying to get back to business. And I think that by mid 2022, they will be operating normally. Finally, the residential sector. This sector has taken advantage of this pandemic and have sold like never before. people have discovered that the safest place on earth is home. And due to the historical low rates of mortgages, people were very interested to purchase home, and real estate sales went crazy, like in the USA, with a low inventory in the market. You find no home or no property for sale, and that's really crazy. The prices increased in differently in the world. 25% in Turkey, 16% in Philippines, 50% in Germany, but in some exception, like in the prices have decreased, like in Egypt -17%, Pakistan -4%, Malta -3%. To end this presentation, I've tried to wrap it up as much as possible. We can predict a positive future for the real estate sector in general. And the studies and analysis shows that they have been, and there will be an increase of 23% at the end of 2021 of the global investment. So this year, we will be around 23% of growth of the global investment around the world. Thank you, Konstantinos. It's always a pleasure to participate in all FIABCI events, and especially today in FIABCI-Greece event.
Thank you, Walid, for this international overview. It's a great presentation. It is an honor to have you here today, and thank you for taking the time. And thank you for the positive news regarding the future. It's something that we are all looking forward to and crossing fingers. And thank you again. Our next speaker, you're most welcome. The next speaker is Mr. Martin von Hoff. He is the owner and senior manager of 1031 Bank in Germany. He has a very long history with FIABCI, second generation. He's also the current treasurer of FIABCI International, but he is here not on that note. So without further delay, we welcome Mr. Martin von Hoff. Martin, please commence when ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Konstantinos, and thank you all for having me here. As my predecessor said, it's hard to talk after two good speakers. It's all the harder to talk after three, especially given that indeed my immediate predecessor, Walid Musad, is totally right. The problems of the pandemic are worldwide problems, and the solutions in the different areas of the world are very similar. Not totally though, and maybe that's an aspect that I would like to go into. The one thing that I would like to point out is that obviously there's countries and regions that have fared better and others that have fared worse in real estate pricing, especially in those areas of or those sectors of the industry that have been adversely affected, such as retail. In some countries, there have been very strong social programs to help companies endure the crisis. Some of those countries, such as France, such as Germany, and some other Western European countries, have laid out programs to diminish rents during that period, much to the dismay of the landlords, that have in turn then profited from rules regarding loan repayment delays and the like. In many of those countries, my own home country being a prime example, real estate prices, therefore, even in the retail sectors, have not suffered immensely. While in some other regions, you have a rate of default in the retail sector that is, or that would be the case in most regions had it not been for those programs. The same holds true almost simultaneously for normal housing, where in some countries you have less of social programs than generally in Europe, and especially some areas were affected. in most developed countries at the moment, we see methods being implemented that allowed the housing sector as such to stay stable. Indeed, house prices, especially those in the suburbs and the smaller towns in many regions, have tremendously increased. Walid, you have mentioned a large price increase in Germany, and that's exactly for that reason, especially given that both in America and in Europe, the interest rates have been artificially deflated by our central banks. Both the EZB as well as the Fed have lowered interest rates to such an extent that yields of residential units have been brought down to levels that, at least in Western Europe, would have been deemed very improbable only 5 years ago. This effect countermanded any effect we might have seen in the residential sector. As far as hotels go, yes, I fully agree. We've seen a number of defaults there, and yes, that part of the real estate industry has been in trouble. However, that was a short-term process that is now being gradually reversed, and indeed, the revenge shopping my predecessor talked about has also happened to a large extent for holidays. Many destinations that are accessible have already been booked out, especially on national level rather than the international travel we've seen before the crisis hit. That would be the major factors that I would see, apart from the crisis itself, that influenced parts of the real estate industry and some sectors, a part of those things that the three speakers in front of me very eloquently already talked about. I know I've been a little short, but I just did not feel like reiterating what you've been very well heard already before. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin, for your presentation. It was very informative, and it was nice to hear that many countries are using social programs to help businesses survive, and also the lower interest rates are very helpful at times of need. Let me please announce our governor, Mr. Nektarios Varmakis. Mr. Nektarios Varmakis, our governor, is a law graduate, and he's with a PhD, a master's degree in law, and he has been governor of Western Greece since 2019. And just a quick comment about Western Greece. We decided to emphasize on Western Greece because most people know of Santorini, Mykonos, Athens, Thessaloniki. Not many people know about the positive things regarding the west of Greece, which is an area that is up and coming, where prices are lower. A new airport is getting there easier and quicker. So we thought we should give everybody, especially from other countries, the opportunity to get to know more about this. So without further delay, let me please welcome our governor, Mr. Nektarios Varmakis, and thank you, sir, for being here today. It is an honor. Thank you.
Hello to everybody. It is my honor to be here, and pleasure, of course, at the conference of the International Real Estate Federation. Our discussion today is very important, and I'm really waiting with great interest the fruitful conclusions about the ongoing effects of the pandemic on the economy, on the real estate sector, and not only that. My approach will be a little different due to the public sector I represent, and of course, due to the need we have to get to know us better. Undoubtedly, the pandemic has caused great changes in our way of life and the whole context of social and economic activity worldwide. Since the virus was spread to many countries around the world, conversations about exactly what impact the virus has on the global economy, the real estate sector, trade networks, supply and demand, what are the global recession scenarios and what are the scenarios for the recovery, have created a climate of intense reflection. So we have to grab the opportunity given from today's initiative from the International Real Estate Federation and discuss all these crucial issues with a focus on the real estate sector. As we already know, the real estate market is inextricably linked with the economy, to tourism, which is the biggest supportive sector of real estate investments, to the psychology of consumers, of course, and to the sense of security, to the investment of targeting of the all global community at any given time in the place where it has created or will create investment opportunities. Over time, in any financial crisis, the real estate is the sector where the primary effects are recorded. In our country, according to the data from the Bank of Greece, the effects of the pandemic on the real estate market appeared as early as the first half of 2020, with a decrease in foreign direct investment in real estate by about 50%. However, the data and the indicators measuring development keeping constantly changing, and for our discussion today, I would like to focus on the positive reading of the current situation. Wherever there is a crisis, there is a chance, I need to say. It is important to highlight that this ongoing crisis will also act as a catalyst for positive changes. We have a fine example to mention: the prompt large-scale digitization of progress of the public sector, as well as of the great majority of private companies here in Greece and Western Greece, of course. The public sector's transition to the digital or information age in such a short period of time was a pleasant surprise for everyone in Greece. It was an urgent necessity for our country, and this discussion has been held for more than 10 years. So it's no coincidence that several crises over time have developed fertile ground for the development process. In the current circumstances, my point of view is that we must realize and promote the characteristics of our land and seize the opportunities. I have very strong belief that we can reverse the painful impact of the pandemic and turn the problem into an opportunity, as I already said. We all agree that the mixture of economic activity should be diversified. We need to discover and apply fresh, innovative ideas for the future in the Greek economy and support and strengthen sectors as manufacturing industry and tourism, and underline and pay attention to others such as the agri-food sector, the logistics sector, the sector of research and technology, and of course, the energy sector. I have all the data in our presentation. Next page, please. You can see what are the key features and what are the strong points of our region. Greece, and in particular Western Greece, is a place of wealth, environmental wealth, culture and history wealth, spiritual wealth, but also human resource wealth. But all these great features are not enough to activate the engine of the economy. The development process requires commitment, planning, evaluation, and strategy. In Western Greece, for the last 2 years, we have been working intensively in this strategy. We're expressing our strong political will to develop a comprehensive, long-term and targeting investment plan. We want the conditions to flourish for foreign, national and local investment projects. And for this main reason, we're one of the most active regions in the country in terms of developing a friendly environment and fertile ground for attracting high value added investments. In this context, we have already prepared the investment profile of our region, a detailed study of about 300-400 pages that includes the strategic evaluation of our competitive advantages, the prioritization of strategic investments, which was a particularly laborious process, recording of maturity actions, the stakeholders involved, and of course, the analysis of the action plan, but also a pilot implementation. We have a plan already. We have recorded and evaluated 66 investment opportunities in all 3 regional units of Western Greece. At the same time, we try by all means to reach the full potential of the financial programs and funding tools provided towards the implementation of critical infrastructure projects. We want to upgrade not only the quality of citizens and visitors' experience, but also the competitiveness and the awareness of our region in order to shape Western Greece in a more attractive destination and, of course, more well-known. We are literally chasing every financial opportunity through the National Strategic Reference Framework, NSRF programs, the national part of the Public Investment Program, but also through the European programs. We manage hundreds of technical projects in 3 regional units and dozens of European projects and transnational cooperation projects at the same time, and we claim for more. As you know, the role of the region of Western Greece as the main administrative entity for the policy formulation at the regional level in terms of attracting investments is in fact twofold. In particular, firstly, the effort to improve the investment environment and to address as far as possible the problems fall within jurisdiction. Secondly, the development of an organized strategy to promote our competitive advantages and mobilize investors from home and abroad. And this endeavor, attracting investments, greenfield projects, new business ventures are unconditional preconditions. So apart from the islands that are timeless destinations in the real estate markets, such as Crete, Mykonos, Santorini, etc., which are in significant demand, Western Greece has its own critical advantages. Western Greece has to show its own unique identity as a tourist and investment destination, as a business, research and innovation hub, as a logistics center, and as a second home or even a first home destination. Each regional unit has unique characteristics. Achaia is an area with long and important industrial tradition, as it constitutes the industrial and research center of the region, offering 2 main receptors for businesses. Etolo-Akarnania and Ilia are the predominantly agricultural areas of the region, which provide suitable soil for traditional agricultural products and protected geographical indication products. At the same time, each area of the region is a tourist destination, either in its traditional or in its alternative form. Western Greece also produces unique products, mainly in the agri-food sector, is an emerging regional transport sector, and has well-trained human resources of high scientific and technical training. In Western Greece, we're on growth trajectory. This fact means that there are no saturation either in the real estate market or in the network's capacity and the overall economic activity. On the contrary, there is a stock with significant characteristics to be exploited and a significant margin for competitive investments. During 2021, as a region, we proceeded to the direction examination of the applications and the approval of 2 large investment plans in Ilia and Etolo-Akarnania, in tourism and agriculture, and of course energy. And we are asked to quote our comparative advantages. We could refer to the tourism resources and in particularly to the rare beauty landscapes, the long coastline and the high quality waters, the tours of exceptional historical and archaeological sites such as ancient Olybia, the combination of mountain and sea sites, lakes and rivers, and of course, the upgraded and qualitative hotel infrastructure and services. Due to its natural landscape, the region of Western Greece has special features and cultural tradition that are suitable for multiple forms of tourism, typical and also alternative forms, as I already said. And of course, we couldn't be not referring to the unique local products and the local gastronomic delights based on our famous Mediterranean diet. The region of Western Greece has ideal climatic and geomorphological conditions that favor the cultivation and production of many different agricultural products and also of high concentration of human resources with significant experience in the agri-food sector. Of course, all this long tradition in the primary sector and in the production of products of high quality are the added values that lead to our high shares in the production of specific agricultural products such as strawberries, as you already know, naturally. Special mentions deserve to the fisheries and the fishing farm sector, with the regional unit of Etolo-Akarnania to produce the 20% of the total national production. It is also interesting that the production of sea bream and sea bass in Mesologi Lagoon occupies a very large part of the total European production. The primary sector is a priority in the region of Western Greece, and also there are important financial tools at national and European level, both in the current and in the coming program period 2021, 2021 and 2027, concerning the energy sector, the geomorphological characteristics, and of course, all of this in the renewable sources, which are the great priority and national and regional level. Also, in the fields of research and innovation, our region demonstrates international reach, as there are several high-level education institutes and significant ecosystem that makes innovative and high-technology companies complementary services and significant number of researchers and executives with high-level technical skills. I have to mention that the University of Patras in Greece is the first academic institution that gives industrial PhDs, while over time, the costs of research and innovations are high. Talk about today, the ecosystem of the growing digital nomads is here and can gain even more momentum as for real estate chances. Finally, I would like to refer to the geostrategic position of our region, as it is the country's gateway to Western Europe. The port of Patras holds a dominant position as it is the main point of entry into and exit from the country for tourists and cargo containers and from all over Europe. The development of the railway and its connection with the port of Patras, as well of the other ports of the region of Western Greece, along with the completion of the motorways in the region, is expected to stimulate combined transport and strengthen the dynamics of the supply chain, logistics. The effective development of the supply chain in the regions is crucial and is primarily driven by the production dynamics, mainly in the primary sector. In this regard, the overall objective is to accelerate and facilitate the transfer of those products to European and international markets. Closing my brief speech, and allow me to underline the investment vision of our regional authority. We want to be considered like a fair, smart, and effective European region, a technology, innovation, and creativity hub, and a model for social solidarity and cohesion, a place for promoting the olivism, voluntarism, and the culture, a tourism and investment destination. We think of the Western Greece as a comprehensive experience and an experience of culture, spirit, nature, gastronomy, and quality services. We aim to reposition Western Greece in the investment map with a clear orientation and plan. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't tire you too much.
Governor, thank you very much. That was a fantastic speech, and thank you for the information regarding Greece and the emphasis on Western Greece. As we all know, the crisis always creates opportunities, and Greece has just went through from 2008 until 2018 through a major long-term crisis. So the prices of real estate is low. They didn't have the chance to get back to what we knew in 2007 and earlier years. They are still left behind because of the pandemic. So the opportunities to invest are now. In a few years' time from now, it will be perhaps too late because the prices will be rising. So again, thank you, Governor. I know you have a very important meeting coming up in a few minutes.
You will have to excuse me. I have an appointment with the European Commissioner for Cohesion with the rest of my fellow regional governors, so I will have to leave you. It was an honor to be here, really.
It was an honor to have you, and thank you for taking the time. Thank you very much. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Dr. Fotis Mouzakis Neolis. He is a visiting professor at the Department of Economics of the University of Athens. He is founder, special advisor, and central lecturer of the Masters in Real Estate Investment and Valuation. He is founder and academic coordinator of the University of Athens e-learning courses in real estate. Professor, thank you for being here today. It is an honor. Please commence when ready, and thank you again.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for the invitation, for giving me the chance to participate in this beautiful conference. As a typical academic, I have put together a presentation that looks at the causes, the fundamental drivers of the real estate market, and I will try to address the European aggregate as well as Greece as a member of the European aggregate. Can you hear me well? I hope so. Okay.
We can hear you very clearly,
Excellent.
Doctor. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Excellent. Before I begin, I would also like to mention that my contribution since I came back to Greece is having founded the first really university level programs for real estate and for real estate agency. So I founded 4 programs in the e-learning section of the University of Athens, one for agency, one for real estate management, one for valuation, and one for real estate investment and finance. In 2017, these 4 programs have been very successful, having given certificates to thousands of professionals in Greece. I think it's about 4,000 at the moment, very successful run so far. And 3 years ago, founded the MSc in Real Estate Investment and Valuation, the Department of Economics of the University of Athens. And this is the 3rd year of an intake. So I have dedicated a large part of my efforts to training and providing education to real estate professionals. So talking about the markets, what I did is a few days ago, I downloaded all the recent official data about real estate markets. First, we can discuss the European market, the overall European market, the aggregate that we call Europe. Either we approach this as Euro area, in this case, this is the purple line, or the European Union, the broader definition, European Union, which is the blue dotted line. What we can see here is the house price development from 2010 onwards. And the very important clue lies on this page. This clue is that if you notice at the end of this line is the first quarter of 2021. This is the end of the most recent observation. And here we have the 4 quarters of 2020. Maybe you can notice that in 2020 Q1, the market, the house prices accelerate in the Euro area and continue growing at a steep pace in the Euro area, in the European Union. Therefore, the COVID era does not relate to a slowdown in the price movement of the residential sector in Europe. Actually, it relates to very fast growth. This is a very interesting fact. And of course, if we look at the countries that participate in the European aggregate, we can see this is the 10-year price change of various countries of the European Union. We can see countries like, here are the aggregates, Euro area and European Union, which show a very healthy rate of growth, 30% in 10 years in European Union about. And this is the cumulative 10-year growth in various countries. Now we have countries that like Estonia and Luxembourg that we can see 130, 110 nearly cumulative 10-year growth rate. Also Iceland 130, and in this case Greece is at the bottom of this distribution because it was a major crisis, economic, debt, economic, and real estate crisis that roughly began in the beginning of this decade and extended to almost the end of these 10 years. that we're looking here. So Greece had a significant contraction of residential values. And obviously, when we're looking at European aggregates, we can see the different influence of various national markets, residential national markets, to the European aggregate. Here we have Germany with a very large percentage. You can see the colors and the countries going down here as we move clockwise around this pie chart. Okay, so we have Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Poland, Netherlands, Romania, etc., etc. Greece is here. This blue section is Greece. Therefore, we can see that when we're talking about European prices, then we definitely have some countries with much larger influence on this European total, and a variety of countries with a smaller influence to this European total. Okay. You can also take a look at the volume of trade in real estate sector. This index, the house sales index that allocated here in quarterly data, is based on 9 countries. It's not a total European measurement, but indicative: Denmark, Finland, France, Hungary, Iceland, Luxembourg, Portugal, Slovenia. And we can see that since 1918, the 4th quarter, where this statistic begins, this series begin, up to the 1st quarter of 2021, this year, the volume fluctuated, reaching a peak initially in 2019, 3rd quarter 3, then contracting towards the 1st quarter of 2020. I just need to mention that the COVID crisis has not begun as yet. It's just about to begin. Then we see further contraction in the 2nd quarter, which captures the arrival of the COVID crisis. But after this quarter, we can see a very high average of the following 3 quarters, including the 1st quarter of 21. This shows that volume, except of 1 quarter, has not been affected by COVID. Actually, the volume is probably higher in these last 3 quarters to take into account the contraction of sales that took place in the 2nd quarter of 2020. If we took a total average, we would be at the same levels as in 2019. Okay. Therefore, sales did not contract. What contracted in Europe during these years? This is GDP. This is sorry, excuse me. No. This is the index of commercial property values, and all types, all sectors index that is constructed by the European Central Bank. Here we see a different story. As prices, commercial prices, property prices grew from 2012 onwards, there was a quite steep trend that came through the 4th quarter of 2019. But in the last quarter of 2000, we can see, actually here there are 2 quarters. This is the 4th quarter, this is the 3rd quarter. So after the 2nd quarter of 2020, we can see the prices contracting. Therefore, although the residential sector did not get affected whatsoever by COVID-19 crisis, the prices of residential sector did not show any contraction. We can see the prices of commercial property contracting during the relevant quarters of the COVID period. And last, we can take a look at the GDP, the European, Euro area, European Union, as before. we can notice a similar contraction of GDP European-wide. Actually, the reduction of GDP in 2020 is even larger than the reduction of GDP that we experienced from the credit crunch in 2008. It's larger, and it's quite similar with the contraction of commercial prices. Therefore, commercial prices got affected by COVID in a way that relates to the contraction of the economy. And I think this makes sense. That's here I summarize for you, or these conclusions that I spoke about. What I think is the most important of those conclusions is that house prices did not contract. This actually shows very strong market in Europe, and a market that runs through a phase of appreciation. Residence, having a residence, the price of residence is increasing, is being through a phase of increasing importance in Europe, I believe. We will see what the developments will be post-COVID, but COVID did not bend the growing trends of residential sector. Now we can take a similar look at Greece, one of the small members of the European Union and Euro area. What happened to Greece with the GDP? Actually, after a long growth, we can see the crisis of Greece, the crisis of Greek production and Greek income, which started in 2008 with the credit crunch, but effectively got fully blown from 2010 onwards, a huge contraction, and then a period of stability where Greek economy restructured itself, and the late phase of growth, of reappearance of growth in Greece. Okay, so far so good. COVID appears 2020, and a steep drop in production. But following this steep drop in production, here is the middle of 2020. We can see a recovery, and we can see that 2021 has already, with the first 2 quarters, shown enough recovery so that the domestic production in Greece is already at the levels where we left it before COVID arrived. The finance of government, yes, this was the finance of the crisis. The Greek government borrowed quite a lot after the debt crisis, the credit crisis, and private debt contracted. And apparently we saw a new rise in government borrowing, but not a new rise in private debt. Okay, this of course, this happened everywhere, and the governments supported the COVID crisis. It happened in Greece as well, but it didn't create any concerns. I will explain why. Property prices, residential prices in Greece, okay, the green line, continued growing throughout the COVID era. Commercial property prices, offices and retail, we don't have values for 2021, which is half year apparently, half year 2021, the first 2 quarters, but they also continued growing through 2020, not at the previous rate, at a smaller rate, but there's a positive growth during 2020 from 2019. Commercial property in Greece. Residential sector keeps growing at a fast pace. Same as in Europe. Residential sector did not get affected by COVID in a negative way. It is important to mention what is the heavy industry of Greece, tourism. Tourism has made a small miracle, has presented a small miracle. From this late data of INSETE, of the agency that follows the tourism sector in Greece, we can see that in July we had a significant pickup of arrivals per month, halfway between 2020 and 2019, where we used to be. So halfway the arrivals were this year. Okay, recovery. But if we look at the income that was produced by this volume of tourists and this volume of arrivals, we can see that this more, I mean, in this case, we're a bit below half of the distance of 2018 and 2020. Here we're over half of the distance. So it's closer to 2019, okay, rather than 2020, which indicates that a smaller number of tourists produced higher income to the tourism sector. Last about Greece, vaccination rates. Vaccination rates, they're decent. Roughly 6 million people have gone through both vaccines, and obviously Greece is not at the front of Western Europe, but it is at the front at the moment of Eastern European countries. But I just checked a few hours ago, and the rate of vaccination in Greece runs at over 20,000 per day, which means that roughly vaccination in Greece runs at about 500,000 per month at this moment, as we speak. We therefore, I believe we're going to be reaching the levels of the main body of Western European countries within a month or so. So this is the best guarantee of good developments in Greek economy and Greek real estate. Again, I summarize, this is a summary of the conclusions I presented to you earlier. And I want to add one thing, that in November, and despite the rise of debt due to COVID and the government intervention for the COVID era, in November, the country was upgraded to BB by rating agencies. So apparently it is entering, it's about to enter again the high grade of investment grade countries in Europe, and fully recover from the crisis that the country has been through the past year. This is my presentation. Thank you very much. And I will be here for any questions if there are any.
Thank you very much, Professor. That was a fantastic presentation, and we appreciate it very much. And we are honored to have you here today. We are very much behind our schedule, so we don't have much time. I just would like to ask all the 4 international speakers to turn on their camera and their speakers. Everyone, all panelists, I meant. And just a quick question, which actually the answer I would like from the international speakers. And the question is, what is the current feeling regarding the future? Are people optimistic? Are they investing right now? If each of the 4 international speakers can give a very quick answer, half a minute or so, that would be fantastic. And after that, we need to wrap this webinar. I know we needed more time, I guess, but this is all the time we have. So please, Eric, are you on at this point? I can't see Eric. So Lily, would you like to answer this question? I know that you said, you mentioned earlier that very large investments have been made the last few months. So I guess people are optimistic for the future, about the future.
Yes, yes. Actually, because I have a short presentation, so I would like to conclude a little bit. Can I give me 1 minute, 2 minutes? I do it quick.
1 minute, please. 1 minute. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would like to add a few extra comments on the situation here in Asia, because in Japan, the Olympic obviously was unable to create enough economic opportunity as we originally hoped and expected. So many countries in the Southeast Asia region was also affected by the pandemic greatly. The factory was shut down and the business were unable to operate as usual, because the pandemic. So recently, especially China faced a growing debt crisis, and the country is facing a serious power crisis. So I think in Taiwan is in fact is very blessed, but at the same time, the price of the raw materials and the labor continue to increase, and our profits margin is shrinking. Okay, so this is why we must be more than prepared for the post-pandemic world in order to maintain our success. So that is why I would like to share. We really have to face the task. That is my final point to share, and thank you for for me to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. Thank you. Walid, would you like to take the mic and give us your views regarding the near future?
Will we have to unmute it?
I think we can't hear you. We can't hear you. That's it.
Yes.
Thank you, Walid. Thank you.
Okay.
We can hear you now, Walid. Thank you.
No, we can't.
No, cannot.
Oh, sorry. We can't hear you, Walid. Well, until we get that, Walid, I can't hear you. We can't hear you, unfortunately. Okay. We need to move then to Martin. If when Martin finishes, we have fixed the technical problem, then please give us your thoughts on the matter. Martin, what do you see about the future? Is it bright and shiny, or are there too many question marks?
We're just entering winter, so bright and shiny might not be the near future for Germany. But no, seriously, I believe that we're already seeing a rebound, and I believe this rebound to be contagious. I think going through from 2021 into 2022, we'll actually see further pickup. So yes, I firmly believe in a bright future. Okay,
sounds perfect. Thank you, Martin. Walid, any luck? Okay. Okay, so let's please wrap this up with this last positive comment. Excuse me. I would like to thank everyone. First of all, the region of West Greece for their support. All the panelists. I know that they are in the time zones don't make it easy. I know it's around 11 o'clock in Taiwan, early in Panama, so we have different issues to cater for. The presentations were wonderful. Thank you, FIABCI in Paris. Thank you, FIABCI-Greece, for your wonderful support, and all the audience for coming in. And I appreciate everyone's input in making this webinar a successful event. Thank you all. Looking forward to a bright future. Bye-bye, and thank you.